Next, we are going to visit array. The ordinary or common variable in PHP normally contain only one variable. Array, meanwhile, is also a type of variable, however, it contains multiple values, and these values are group of related values under a single array or variable name. For example, if you create an array of vehicles, something like this, then the related values that the vehicle array can contain might be a bicycle, a car, lorry, and etc. If you look at the slide over here, you find out that the array is arranged based on the index, and in this array there are three index which starts from 0, 1, and 2. If you want to retrieve the values that located inside the array, you have to retrieve based on the index value that's already been set inside the array. We can access all the array elements by using a special PHP command called count. Since the array usually has more than one index value, count will help you in accessing the actual element or the actual number of index in an array. And later, you can access array element individually, or you can use the loops such as this for next loop to access or list all the array values simultaneously, and you can list them down by using the loop. Now let's look on how to use array inside the Sublime Text. If you want to create array in PHP, what you can do is that first of all you have to create a structure of HTML file, something like this, and inside the PHP tag you have to type array and press tab, and you are going to get something like this. Now I want to name the array as a array vehicle, and inside array vehicles there are three elements which are bicycle, and then the second element is car, and the last element is lorry. Then I just make this code earlier so that I can save my time. Next, I want to count the number of elements that's located inside the array. As I mentioned inside my slide, I have to use the count command. So the number of element will count number of elements that are located inside the array vehicle, this one. Then I want to display the number of element, which is the variable for counting the number of elements located inside the array vehicles. Later on, I want to access all the elements located inside the array vehicle. So in this case, I'm going to use the loop. So what this loop did is that it will get all the elements located inside the array vehicles, and then it's going to display it something like this. I just Ctrl S to save my file. Then I go to my browser. So inside my browser, I need to access my file, which is chapter8array.php, and then press enter. Then I'm going to get something like this. Create an array, and there are three array elements. Element 0 is bicycle, element 1 is car, and element 2 is lorry. In PHP, you can create what so called as an associative array. So when a PHP array use string to represent the index of the array, then it is called as an associative array. Originally, the index of the array normally are in the form of numbers, as I mentioned to you earlier in the previous slide. However, the associative is some kind of array that can be represented by using string. The index can be represented by using string. The associative array needs to have the index value called a key, and then The element of the value is called the value, and the key and the value are paired in the array structure. We are going to look on how to use associative arrays in the Sublime Text. Let's look on how to create the associative array inside the Sublime Text. I've prepared some code for you. So just to make the time shorter, so this is how to make the array. This one is only the command, so you don't have to worry. And this line is actually the line that produce the array. So I'm creating an array called car, and the car array is actually an associative array, and the car array have three elements, which is Proton and Malaysia. So meaning that Proton is a car brand coming from Malaysia, made in Malaysia. Second one is Honda, is Japan, and the third one is BMW from Germany. So to access all the elements located inside the array car, I have to create a loop, but this time not for next loop. I'm going to use for each loop. So the for each loop enable me to get all the elements located inside the array car. You can go to W3 School and get more information on the for each loop. After I make everything something like this, I just Ctrl S to save my file. I go to my browser and I have to call my file, which is ASC array. And if I enter or refresh, then I'm going to get something like this. The key for Proton and the value is Malaysia. The key is Honda and the value is Japan. Meanwhile, the key is BMW and the value is Germany. So if you look at the structure, all the key are in the form of strings, not numbers. So that is the difference between the ordinary array and the association or the associative array. The third type of array that available in PHP is called a multi-dimensional array. This array is more complex, but it is actually represent how data in the real world works. You can imagine the multi-dimensional array as a hierarchy chart or hierarchy organization. For example, if you look at this slide, the main array is called the SMMTC. And inside the SMMTC or the main array, there are three sub-arrays called array 1, array 2, and array 3. For each sub-array, you can create your own element over here. For instance, in this sub-array, there are three elements. The first element is called a program, which can be multimedia, technology, media, and communication. And the second element of the sub-array is called number of students. So these are number of students for multimedia, for technology, media, and for communication. And finally, the third element of the sub-array is called number of lecturer, which is representing for each program, multimedia, technology, media, and communication. If you want to access the array, you have to use something that is laid out like this. And if you look closely, you find out that each element in the multi-dimensional array are accessed using index that are arranged similar to a matrix. If you can recall back to your previous mathematics class, matrix is something like this. So this is 0, 0, this is 0, 1, and this is 0, 2, where this is something that you are pairing the row and the column. So for the sub-array, if you want to access the element for multimedia, for instance, which is the program, it is 0, 0, meaning that 0 row and 0 column. If you want to access the number of lecturers for communication, you have to use 2, 2, which is second row and second. Now let's look on how to apply the multi-dimensional array inside Sublime Text. Over here, I already prepared the PHP code, and these are the codes. Let me explain a little bit on the multi-dimensional array that I've prepared in this video. First of all, I created a main array called SMTC, and inside the main array, there are three sub-arrays. subarray 1, subarray 2, and subarray 3. For each element in the subarray, there are 3 elements that I have created. First of all is the name of the program. Second is number of the student for each program, and the third one is number of lecturers for each program. If you look at this code, this line, so this is how you want to access only one element in the subarray. You have to use the matrix style pairing, where you have the row and you have the column. This is the index and this is the index for the column. Next, if you want to access all the elements located inside the array, I mean the subarray, you have to use the nested loop. To get the nested loop executed, first of all, you have to get the number of row and you have to get the number of column. To get the number of row, I'm using the count command, which something that I've already used earlier in the previous slide. And to get the column, so you have to use the max command. You can refer to W3 School to get the information on how to apply the max command. Next, if you look at this loop, I'm using 2 loops, the nested loop. The outer loop is to get the row, meanwhile the inner loop is to get the column. So pairing the row and the column all together, you can access all the elements that is located inside the subarray. I'm going to test this file inside my browser. I'm going to save my file first, and I'm going to open the browser and get it over here. And if I refresh my browser, this is the result. You can see over here that the array is being accessed, all the element of the array being accessed by using the code that I've created earlier inside the Sublime Text.